Alright, so I started between two windows up here, mounted the bracket, found it, got it to be flush, level, all that kind of good stuff. The rules on mine say 5 inches from the ceiling. I got plenty of gap on the top. And so I have drilled the hole in the wall. I put a hole all the way through the middle to go out to the brick. And then I went outside to perforate around the hole basically, and I'll take a chisel and knock out the brick around it. And then I'll try to get the unit mounted. So this is the outside hole. So basically what I did, I mentioned that I just put a hole all the way through the wall, so that's my center hole there. And I took my 3-inch circular bit, placed it in the hole. I just took a Sharpie, traced around the hole, and then came back with my drill and put several perforations. Now I'll break out the chisel and start knocking out the brick around the perforations. I have the hole chiseled out now, so you can see all the way through to the house. This took about 30 minutes or so to chisel out around the brick, around my perforations. Hindsight, I should have done closer perforations. It probably would have went a little quicker, but such is life. Also chiseled out a little bit along this edge just to give it a little more of an ability to drop off like it needs to. This is level, so you can definitely see that I've got a slant down in the hole to make sure that the drainage from the drain pipe, the drip line actually comes out of the unit correctly. So all good. Next step will be mounting the unit, getting the lines run through this hole. So I got the line set and the drain tube and the power cable pushed through the hole of the wall. Got the power cable hooked up to the inside unit. It's pretty easy. Just used red, white, black for 1, 2, 3. Put the ground in the ground and snap the unit back up and put it back on the wall on the inside. So I pushed it through the wall. I'm gonna put the unit behind these bushes, so it'll be hid just a little bit, especially once these grow back in. So trimmed away, made myself a hole, dug out a relatively flat spot with a little bit of a footer, probably overkill, but I'll try to make sure these roots don't disrupt it too much. So I've got this, I'm about to build the form and pour a little concrete for the pad. And then once I get the concrete poured, I will go ahead and start running the power. The power for mine is probably going to come out from the attic. So I've got some conduit that I'm going to come out of that siding and just down the wall beside this line set and wires straight down the unit, or straight down the wall to the back of the unit over toward the right edge there. So that's the plan. We'll see how it goes. So I got the slab poured for the outside unit. Had a little collateral damage there with the bushes. Had to chop those out of the way to get this done. A little bit easier. This ended up being way more effort than I wanted to put into it. This was, I think, 7 bags of concrete, maybe 6, I don't remember. But this was a lot. But it's done. It's fast drying concrete, so fast curing concrete, so it should be good to go tomorrow, and then I will hopefully complete the installation. So it's the next day. Slab is cured. Got the ladder propped on it. Drilled my hole for the power supply, and so I'm gonna got the power connected in the attic. So I'm gonna get it run down through some conduit down the wall, get it cut, and then start targeting getting the copper piping, copper line set run to the unit. So have the power run through the conduit, coming out of the wall, looks pretty clean, going into circuit breaker box, the breaker pulled, and have it wired down. Cut this to the right length, have some spare wire hanging, so once I get the unit set, I can get that connected. But I'm gonna go ahead and do the line set at the top, cut it to the correct length, and then put the unit in place to get everything hooked up. Shouldn't be long now. Okay, so it's been a few days. Realized I didn't finish the video. Got so frustrated doing the vacuuming that I finished the job, got it done kind of late the last night I was working on it. So I figured I would come back in and just show what the finished product looked like. So did get the copper line set ran. So that's the main joint up there that just screwed in. And I cut this line set to length. Flared the end of the line set and got the nuts put on and
and got it screwed in. So one critical piece of the line set that takes it from quote unquote a novice job to a professional job is Nylog. So make sure before you install you get some Nylog. Part of what I had such frustration with is that I had planned on renting a vacuum and gauges from O'Reilly's. Come to find out, those are specific sizes to AC in automobiles. So had to end up borrowing from a buddy some adapters and just everything from the pump to everything to make it simpler, really. But one critical piece, if you are going to try to rent the pump and the gauges, is to make sure you have this adapter. So this is actually what screws into the service port. The service port is, here's where the line set comes in, and so the service port is actually just on the other side of this cover. Just has a little cap on it. So just make sure that you have all the right equipment, all the right adapters, and then everything will connect before you get started, and that will get rid of a lot of frustration. This one has a valve right at the service port, so that let me cut the pump off and bleed the lines, and then fully pressurize the lines before I disconnected this from the service port. Did get the power ran. That was pretty straightforward. Cut this wire to length, and then I got everything buttoned up in there. So one line, the gray line, is the power coming from the wall, coming from the inside AC. So I have that coming out to just a disconnect. A little bit of AC knowledge for idiots that I didn't realize. These are fusible disconnects. The fuses do not come in these, so if you try to make it work without the fuses, you're gonna see an air gap. So make sure you buy the right fuses when you buy this box. Probably pretty simple knowledge for people that do this all the time, but just something I struggled with on that as well. So I do need to get the covers installed over the line set. I have those inside, I just haven't installed those yet. I did fill in the gap up there with Expendo foam. It is draining well, so no issues out of the unit leaking or anything. And I just have the drain tube coming out to the ground. I'll get all that covered up, make it look nice. But yeah, it's been a few days. I finished up right before the really cold weather moved through later last week, and so the unit did really well. It got down to, I think, 10 degrees here, and the unit's it was running pretty heavily, but it did keep the room nice warm. 75, I think, is where she keeps it in there, so it worked out really well. This is a 3/4 ton unit, which is just serving probably a 150 to 200 square foot bedroom. But yeah, it worked out really well. Like I said, if you don't have Nylog or the right power or the right vacuum adapters, you're going to run into frustration like I did. But hindsight 2020, if I have to do this again solo, a lot of lessons learned here that would make that simpler. But if you have any questions, feel free to add a comment or something, and I can try to answer what I know, what I learned, and I will catch you guys next time.